Hello, welcome back to our channel, Way Out Here. This is the second time I've done this video. So the first time I did it, I think I may have been a little too emotional to really provide any help. And that's not my goal. So I deleted that one and decided to try again. So Friday night we had a dentist appointment and it was in the next town over. And I had my son check on our 4 ducklings. We had 2 cresteds, a Welsh Harlequin, and a buff. He checked on them, said they were out of water. I told him to get them water, put it in their brood box so we could go to the dentist. As soon as we got back from the dentist, he checked on the ducks and came in the house crying, saying 2 were dead. I went out there with him, consoled him, told him it wasn't his fault, because it wasn't. And yes, indeed, 2 were dead. So, not only were 2 dead, but the other 2 were so cold and shivering that we had to save them. So this video isn't going to be an emotional response to the death of my 2 ducklings, which I had the first time. And like I said, that's why I'm redoing this, because I don't think that that's going to help. Being upset about losing 2 isn't going to help anyone save 2 if this happens to them. So basically what had happened was he filled their water, and while we were gone at the dentist, they decided to slop every single bit of it out and play in it instead of being under their heat lamp. And they got wet, they got waterlogged, they got cold, and they were killed. Like, they died. The other 2 did not die, but they were standing on top of the dead birds that were laying in the water and shivering. So this video, more than anything, yes, I was upset, but I've had time to process the fact that I lost 2. But this video, more than anything, is going to be about how we saved the 2 that we have left. And again, I was more concerned about saving them than I was about taking a video. So I don't have a video of it, but I'm going to go through everything we did and step by step what we did to save these 2 waterlogged ducklings. And hopefully this will help anyone in the future this happens to. Just put it in your head of what to do. Like, I didn't even have time to Google. I just had to let my heart and my gut instincts kick in and take over, and I just knew I had to get these babies in the house by the fire and get them cleaned up and get them in warm water. Like, again, gut instinct, your heart takes over, and you don't want to lose the other 2. So, yeah, more than anything, this video is going to be how you help them than my emotional response to it. And that's what I think will be more beneficial to everybody, because yes, it's upsetting. And I did respond very emotionally to losing 2, but in the end, my goal is to help people and not to just turn it into an emotional response that may not be helpful, if that makes any sense. So yeah, we'll go down there, we'll see the 2 we have left, and I'm going to show you guys how I responded quickly and how that ended up saving the 2 we do have, and the changes we're going to make to prevent any waterlogging of ducklings in the future. Because we can't get more right now. If you can see behind me, it is fall, but winter comes quick around here, and it is cool today. It's in the high 30s. So we're going to go down to the duck house. We're going to see the brood box. We're going to see the 2 that are left. We lost one of the cresteds and our Welsh Harlequin, so we lost Cream and Puffin. We're going to go down and see Muffin and Bourbon. They're the 2 we have left that lived. And I'm going to show you how we saved them. So if you have a waterlogged duck, or you don't, but you have ducklings, or you want to get ducklings, this is important information to just set aside for later. And like I said, I did not have the opportunity to Google any of this. This is how I saved these 2 ducklings without help, because I was like, I knew I was in a time crunch, and I knew if I didn't react very quickly, as cold as these girls were, that none of them were going to make it. Like, the other 2 were going to meet the same fate that the 2 that have already been buried have already met. So anyways, let's go down there. Let's see the 2 we have left. They're still so stinking cute, and it is still a bummer we lost 2. But we'll go down there and I'll show you what we did and how we responded to this particular situation. Alright, so here are the 2 girls we have left. It's Muffin in the back, and then Bourbon up close, so we have a buff and a crested. Basically what had happened is if you see their water over here, my son filled that completely full. And then there was standing water over here that they were playing in and never got back under their heat lamp. They're under the heat lamp now, which is great, but I mean, it doesn't bring back the other two for sure. So I'm actually going to take this grate off. Just give me a minute. All right, so hopefully this is a little better view. So this morning, it looks like they've already drained out all of their water from this morning, and I only put like a third of it. I only filled it a third of the way full. But they're ducks. This is what they do, and we need to be aware of this, and everyone needs to be aware of this. It can happen. They hadn't done the sloppy water thing like to this extent before, so it was kind of surprising that they just happened to do it when we weren't here and we couldn't check on them. But anyway, the water had leaked out, and you can see it's kind of, once they get enough poop on here and then pack this down, there's standing water. There can be standing water in here if they drain all of it in a short amount of time, which is what happened. And then the dead girls are just over here, and these two were standing on top of them. So, in order to respond quickly, when my son came in crying into the house, I told both kids to come down with me. We rushed out here. I scooped both of these girls up and put them in each kid's hand, and I told them to hold on to them and take them inside. So that was to keep them warm because they were shivering. And right now they look good. They're under the heat lamp. They're fine. But yeah, they've still got, you can see the one, if I can zoom in on her feet, she actually still has some damage to her feet, which is so crazy because it wasn't all that cold and they had a heat lamp, but they just didn't go under their heat lamp. And so they weren't able to dry out. When we scooped these up, they were wet, they were packed with their food, they were packed with water, they were packed with poop, because they had just, like I said, slopped the water around and played in it. So the first step is to get these girls scooped up into a human hand and get them warm. I had the kids cuddle them to their bodies, and we took them inside, and we went straight by the fireplace. The kids sat by the fireplace, and I made a fire. I got it warm, quick, and warmed these girls up till they were shivering less. And then, once they were shivering less, we made a warm bath in our big sink in our kitchen. And we set them in there and let them play in the sink and let them swim in the warm water. By the time we took them out, they were warm-ish. They were still shivering a little, but we wrapped them in a towel to dry them off. And the kids sat in the living room and watched a movie while they held each one wrapped in a towel. By the time we put these girls in bed in this brood box at night, they were not shivering anymore. So, the heat lamp's at the same level. And the only thing I'm going to do now that's a little bit differently is I am going to not give them access to food and water overnight. So when we come and put the big ducks away for bed, we take the food and water away from these ladies. And then when I get up in the morning at 4:45, I come down here first thing before I even get my coffee. I come down and I give them water. And I only fill this a third of the way full. And then they wait. And, you know, like this morning, they are waiting. They are waiting for me to fill that. And I'm not going to do it yet. Yeah, there just needs to be, they don't need so much water. And that was an understanding that I had to come to, and it was a hard lesson. But they don't need that much water. They don't need to get to the point that it's dangerous. You know, like having so much water is dangerous. So, anyways, these are the two we've got left, and they're still beautiful. We are going to get more. I want another crested, and I still want the Welsh Harlequin. But we can't buy those until June because it's getting too cool now that we're afraid something similar will happen. So, basically these are 2 ducklings left, and basically that's how you save them. You've got to get them warm. So let your gut take over and warm these girls up. If something happens, if you have a waterlogged duck, warm them up. Once they are warm, you need to clean off anything that's like lodged and stuck. Like if they had food, goo stuck all over their body, you need to get them in a warm water. Let them swim around and let it wear off while they're swimming in your sink. There's not really another option other than warm them up and take them in your house. I know people don't want ducks in their house. They're messy, but we made the decision, and we made that decision quickly to do it in order to save them. So Sometimes you're just gonna have to do what you have to do. So that's how we saved them. I will put like the step-by-step instructions that we did down below, and I'll link a couple of articles on how waterlogging can happen and how it's kind of always a threat when you think about it. Like you can do everything right, and then the ducks still, once in a while, I mean, they are ducks, they're gonna go crazy with their water, and you know, they do this stuff, and it can happen. It still hurts and it's still upsetting that we lost two, but I wanted this video to be more about how we were able to save these two and to keep these two from getting so cold that they ended up dying. So yeah. Alright, so that's our basic. I'll go through the steps again one more time. Basically how you would save a waterlogged duckling. So first step, get them out of the water. Get them in a warm human hand. Hold them. Wrap them up tight. They're not going to move too much. They're not going to squiggle around because they're shivering and cold. So they'll stay in your hands. Get them in hands. Carefully take them inside. Put them near a heat source. Still holding them, of course. Put them near a heat source. Get them warm. And then as they slowly stop shivering, run a hot bath. Hot, warm, you know, right around where like a duck's body temperature would be fine. Run them a bath in your sink, your bathtub, whatever you have to draw a warm bath for the ladies, or drakes if you happen to have a drake duckling. Draw them a bath, warm bath, let them swim around in it, let all the gunk wash off, let all that water that's stuck on their skin and stuck in their feathers, their little fluffy feathers, let all that stuff come off. Give them several minutes. Wrap them up again in a towel and hold them close to your body again to keep them warm. Those are the steps we did. Once they completely dry off, you can put them back in their brood box under the heat lamp after you have removed the water from their brood box. So remove that water from their brood box. And for us, this was close to bedtime by the time they dried out and we had them saved. And so we did not put their water back in with them overnight. We took the food and the water out, we left it out. And we've done that for 2 nights now, and they've been fine without water. Just make sure you go back first thing in the morning, give them food and water, check it periodically throughout the day if you have to, and give them more throughout the day, but do not give them enough that they can waterlog themselves. Because they could do it, like I said, anytime. Like, they hadn't done it yet, so I was like, oh yeah, no big deal, fill up their water. Because they hadn't completely drained it out. Ducks are messy with water, and if you give them water, they could potentially end up killing themselves in it if they're young enough, and that's what happened to ours. So hopefully this video was helpful and not emotional like my first one, and hopefully you guys will get an idea of how you can save a waterlogged cold duckling. I will put all the steps that we did in the description box below, so if you're looking for something quick and you don't want to sit through and watch this video, like I didn't have time to Google, like I said, I had to react, and that's what we did, and we were able to successfully save 2. So if they're already dead, there's nothing you can do. Like, there's no like duckling CPR or anything that's going to help you. So save the ones you can, worry about the girls you lost later, and deal with the emotions of that later. But the goal would be to save who you can. So anyway, thanks for stopping by our channel today from Way Out Here, and consider liking and subscribing if you want, if you found it helpful, and hopefully you did, and hopefully we won't have this happen again in the future, but it's always a possibility with ducks, and everything I've read said it's a possibility even in the summertime. Like, ducks are just, they are who they are, and that's what makes them unique and special, but it also can sometimes make us respond emotionally when something goes wrong. So yeah, so thanks for stopping by, and we will see you guys soon. Bye!